Here back in the Fantasy Bar. Week 9 is up. We are back with 6 of my favorite plays for you on FanDuel and DraftKings, including a couple high-end running backs. One I think could go completely overlooked this weekend. We'll give you some value at the wide receiver position and the tight end position, some correlation in a game I want to attack, and a beast of the night I think is set up for a massive week. Who are we talking about? Only one way to find out. It's time to belly up to the Fantasy Bar. Welcome in, guys. Week 9 edition rolls on here in the Fantasy Bar. 6 of my favorite plays fresh off the tap for you in the NFL on FanDuel and DraftKings. Thank you, as always, for stopping by the Fantasy Bar and checking out this week's video. Before we get to those plays, take a second, click that thumbs up button. That is the tip jar here, as I always say, to continue to bring you these free videos. That thumbs up button, very important. So thank you for that. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell as well, and check out splashsports.com/RotoGrinders. Tons of great stuff still going on over at Splash Sports. So join our community over there. Again, splashsports.com/RotoGrinders. And if you use promo code ROTO10 upon sign up, you're going to get a $10 bonus. And for a limited time, if you play $20 in quick pick entries, you'll get an additional $10 bonus. All right, last week, some hits, some misses, definitely a couple guys that disappointed, but big games out of Kareem Hunt, our value quarterback in Bo Nix, and our beast of the week, Joe Mixon. Congrats to our beast of the week contest winners. Your shot to win that same contest coming up at the end of the video. All right, let's get into week 9 here. Let's start at the running back position with Kenneth Walker of Seattle. So Walker coming off an absolute dud last week against Buffalo. That game got out of hand, just did not get it going, plus was dealing with an illness. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass here. And I think a lot of people going to give him a pass in their week 9 lineups. You look at the pricing tier in that area, a lot of options, cheaper guys, a little bit more expensive guys. So I think Walker, the guy that's going to fall between the cracks here and something I want to take advantage of in my tournament lineups. His production in the receiving game really been a bonus. Was always the knock on him, didn't catch enough passes. This guy has answered the bell, has been a huge part of the Seattle passing attack, averaging 4.5 receptions and over 32 receiving yards per game this season. So just adds to that ceiling of what he's going to give you on the ground. Rams been very giving to this position. 6th most rushing yards allowed to running backs. 6 of their 7 opponents have 120 or more rushing yards. So they've allowed some massive games here. Huge game in the division. And Kenneth Walker sees a big workload both on the ground, through the air, and has a big day for us in the DFS streets. All right, let's go to the wide receiver position in the mid-range with Jakobi Meyers of Las Vegas. So we know no Davante Adams going to lead to a ton of targets for both Brock Bowers and Jakobi Meyers, so those targets should not go anywhere. We're seeing it anytime Davante Adams out of the lineup. It's been Meyers getting a huge target share, 27.5% without Adams, and those first read looks at over 32% with no Davante Adams. So great spot here against the Bengals. Raiders 7-point underdogs in this game, likely playing from behind, likely throwing a ton, and the Bengals have been vulnerable to wide receivers, bottom half of the league in receptions and receiving yards allowed to this position. Can rack up those receptions, very valuable over on DraftKings, and don't even hate them on FanDuel this week with that target share and projected game flow here. Jakobi Meyers, one of my favorites for week 9. All right, let's get you some value at tight end with Sam LaPorta of the Lions. Now, never thought I'd see these kind of prices on Sam LaPorta, but here we are and starting to show some life. Had a solid game last week with no Jameson Williams. We have the same thing once again here this week, and he has found the end zone 2 of the last 3 games. I do think we'll get some points in this game despite the projected rain in Green Bay. I think this could be a good thing for Sam LaPorta and a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown. The rain likely prevents some of the big plays down the field, as does no Jameson Williams. So I think LaPorta going to see a ton of targets in that short intermediate area, and we know the Lions get close to the goal line. Those running backs can't score all the touchdowns, so I like his odds to find the end zone here. Again, Green Bay, great matchup for a tight end. Been targeted at the 3rd highest rate by opposing teams with tight ends, giving up the 4th most receptions, the 5th most receiving yards, and a ton of fantasy production here. I think a big week in store for Sam LaPorta against the Green Bay Packers. All right, let's go back to the running back position. Spend up again on Bijan Robinson of the Falcons. Now, unlike Kenneth Walker, this one's certainly going to garner some ownership, and with good reason. Ownership in chalk, not always a bad thing, and this is certainly a blow-up spot for Bijan Robinson. Big 52-point total in this one, of the highest totals we have seen all season long, and really starting to turn it on. I know there's some concerns with Tyler Algier, who's not going away, certainly going to be involved, But over the past 3 weeks, Bijan has really stepped it up, averaging 118 scrimmage yards per game, over 25 DraftKings points per game, and he has found the end zone 4 times. We know that role in the passing game going to be there. When this game turns into a shootout, could be one of those 30-point days for Bijan Robinson, especially against this Dallas defense. Been terrible against running backs, giving up over 109 rushing yards per game, 2 RBs, 9 rushing touchdowns already. That's bottom 5 in the league, and the second most fantasy points to this position. Bijan Robinson, a ceiling play I'm loving this week against the Dallas Cowboys. All right, let's offset some of that cost, go back to wide receiver, and go way down in the cheap seats with wide receiver Parker Washington. So Jacksonville, certainly a team's going to need somebody to step up, and I think Washington is that guy. Christian Kirk done for the year. Questionable tags on Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis this week. So obviously, if those guys are all out, going to see a ton of work here, likely going to get more popular. But the sneaky thing, Thomas has a chance to play this week, and I still like Parker Washington in this spot, even if Thomas and Davis are in the lineup, especially at these prices. 73% snap share last season, so he is next man up for Christian Kirk. We know the Eagles, tough team to run on, but a team you can certainly get it done through the air. Add that to the fact Jacksonville, 7.5-point underdogs in this one. I think they keep this game close, but I do see them playing from behind and throwing a ton in this game. Philly, 8 touchdowns already allowed to wide receivers, bottom 10 in fantasy points allowed to this position. I think a breakout week coming for Parker Washington, way down under 4K over on DraftKings. All right, it's time. Take a look at my favorite play for week 9. Before we do that, let's continue our Beast of the Week contest. Easy to play. All you need to do, make sure you click that thumbs up button. Then you head to the comment section and guess fantasy points on DraftKings for my Beast of the Week. Whoever's guess is the closest, you're going to win your choice of a free month of RotoGrinders Premium, a free month of Scores and Odds Premium, or we'll send you some free RotoGrinders swag. All right, let's wrap up week 9 with my favorite play. You know, Matt, Beast of the Week. All right, Beast time. We still owe you a quarterback. We promised you some correlation, so we're going to the other side of that Jacksonville Eagles game with quarterback Jalen Hurts, this week's Beast of the Week. I know some of you out there are going to say, oh, you're just buying high off of last week. He put up a big score. Look, it doesn't get much better than a matchup with this Jacksonville defense. 4 quarterbacks. We have targeted them multiple times this season. And sure, this could be a Saquon Barkley game. There are a lot of concerns, but what that does, it kind of lowers the ownership a little bit. People aren't sure which Philadelphia piece they want. Tends to spread things out. Not saying he won't be owned, but maybe not as high owned as he should be here. Jacksonville, 17 touchdown passes allowed, second most passing yards allowed, and the second most fantasy points allowed to this position. Add in bottom 10 in rushing yards allowed to the quarterback position. Philadelphia should have their way here. I mentioned I think Jacksonville keeps this close. Likely see a little bit more passing here from Philadelphia in that scenario, and we have some clear targets here. You have A.J. Brown, you have Devontae Smith, hell, you could go Saquon Barkley, or even run them out there naked. So a lot of stacks that makes sense here with Jalen Hurts, plus the run it back options. We already gave you Parker Washington. Evan Ingram should see a ton of targets. Maybe more value opens up with those wide receiver injuries. Point is, this is a very stackable game. I think this is another ceiling spot for Jalen Hurts, making him easily my favorite play on the board in this week's Beast of the Week. All right, guys, that'll do it for our Week 9 six-pack. As always, any comments, questions, or feedback, hit me up in that comment section right below the video or on Twitter at Beermakersfan. Don't forget your guess. Jalen Hurts fantasy output on DraftKings for a shot to win some free premium, either RotoGrinders or Scores and Odds for a month, or some free RotoGrinders swag. And don't forget, Pints and Picks back. If you are into betting props, going to give you 2 of my favorites over on our Scores and Odds YouTube page. Make sure you check that out. Splashsports.com/RotoGrinders. Take advantage of some of those offers. Code ROTO10 to get yourself a little bonus. For RotoGrinders.com, I am Beer saying salute. Thank you so much for watching. Best of luck here in Week 9, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for checking out our videos. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more DraftKings, FanDuel, and other DFS content. And you can check out our daily live show schedule on RotoGrinders.com/videos.